different from others. Renouncing learning will bring freedom from worry. What does it matter whether you answer one thing or another? How much difference is there truly between the beautiful and the ugly? The things that people fear should indeed be feared, and how numerous they are. Other people rejoice and make merry as though they were enjoying a fine banquet or admiring the view of a spring morning. But I remain uncertain and uncommitted, like a baby that has not yet learnt to smile, exhausted like a traveler with no home to return to. Other people always seem to have more than they need, but I alone never have enough. My thoughts are those of a dullard. Other people have clarity. My thoughts are muddy and opaque, whilst other people are keen and open. I alone am dull and stuffy. I am still as the boundless ocean, restless as the wind. Other people have purpose, but I alone am wayward and uninformed. I alone am different from others, for I am nurtured by the Tao. Greetings, people of Earth. My name is Jax, and today we are on chapter 20 of the Tao Te Ching, and we are talking about different from others. This chapter is used to essentially say that if you become a Taoist, if you follow this path, you are going to be different from others. And I think it's an important distinction. We often talk about Taoism as in like a go with the flow, just, whatever happens. But it's not. It's going with a flow, a very distinct flow. And that flow is following the Tao, following this energy and the flow of the universe. And essentially what this chapter is sort of talking about is, first of all, it's trying to make the point that how big of a difference is it between yes and no, right and wrong? How much difference is there between those two? Sometimes there's going to be a very minute and finite difference between them, and sometimes the difference is very large. But regardless of those differences, following Taoism and adopting this moral framework it shapes you and it changes you and it makes you different from others, because not many people follow any of the tenets of Taoism. And once you start to adopt them, you will begin to see things very differently. You'll probably think about things a lot more thoughtfully and consciously. And that's where it comes to things like, my thoughts are those of a dullard. Other people have clarity. And I think that's a really good analogy, that when you adopt a framework like this, you tend to think about things a little more critically. It's a lot more difficult to just live. And ironically, that's exactly what Taoism wants you to do. So I think a lot of people sort of crash through life, breaking through, they say things that hurt other people. They do things that are bad for themselves and those around them. Whereas a Taoist is trying to really do the least. And it's hard to do the least because you exist and inherently you do stuff. So it's hard to just not do anything, and it's hard to follow the Tao in that way. So that's essentially kind of the talking points for this chapter. I really like it how it says sort of like I alone am dull and stuffy, restless as the wind. Other people have purpose. I'm wayward. I'm exhausted like a traveler with no home. Other people have more than they need, but I alone never have enough. Because having this framework gives you this perspective. There's an old Greek quote that says, and I don't know if it was Plato or Socrates or any of these people, but they said, the more I know, the less I know. And essentially what that is saying is the more you understand about the world and the more you learn, you realize your own inability to learn everything. So somebody who is very self-assured and confident and kind of a know-it-all thinks that they know it all. And that's why we don't like those people, because they have an inability to understand all of the things that they don't understand. They think that they have it all. There's no need to put any more information in. Whereas someone with some true wisdom and following Taoist principles understands that they know nothing. You know, there is such a finite amount of stuff that we can understand in our short lifetimes. So we understand that we know nothing, and so we actually understand a lot. But as a result of having this kind of added wisdom and added knowledge, like Taoism, you kind of realize your own inadequacies. You realize like how out of your depth you are, whereas everyone else is kind of just going off of a false preconception of understanding. And that makes a big impact. And basically it makes Taoist people a lot more thoughtful. And this isn't to pat myself on the back and say, oh yes, I'm a Taoist, I'm so good. It's to recognize your own inabilities, recognize when you are wrong, recognize when you are out of your depth, and appreciate it. Whereas a lot of people just run through life like a bull in a china shop, thinking that they've got it all down. And that makes us different from others. So there you go. That's the passage. That's the beautiful picture. It is Spring at the River, painted by Fan Kua. Don't know if I can present that properly. It's a beautiful book, isn't it? It's absolutely gorgeous. I love this book. So allow yourself to be nurtured by the Tao. Don't let the loudmouths in your life get you down or make you feel unconfident about your situation or what you're doing, but just try and enjoy. Remember the Wu Wei, the non-doing, the act, the flow state, the act of doing something while not doing anything, and leave your comments and your thoughts about this chapter. And as always, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.